When people imagine fasting until their belly fat disappears, they picture something almost mystical, as if the body suddenly unlocks a hidden survival mode. But what truly happens inside you is far more complex and far more dramatic than most imagine. Your biology isn't passive. It fights, negotiates, and adapts in ways that science only recently started to fully understand. At the beginning, fasting feels simple. You're just skipping meals. But beneath that simplicity, your cells begin whispering to each other, activating ancient metabolic pathways designed to protect you in times of scarcity. These pathways were forged tens of thousands of years ago, when survival meant enduring unpredictable cycles of feast and famine. As you keep fasting, your body begins to shift gears, but not smoothly. The transitions resemble a series of alarms being triggered one after the other. Hormones rise, others fall, and every system inside you prepares for what it assumes might be a long journey through starvation. And here's the twist that few people expect. The transformation isn't just physical. Your body starts reshaping your mind, sharpening focus, altering hunger signals, and changing your emotional state, all to push you to survive longer. And this is only the beginning. The first 24 hours of fasting are like the opening scene of a survival movie. Your body burns through its stored glucose, fast. Glucose is the quick fuel, the one your body grabs first because it's easy. Once it's gone, the body realizes something serious is happening. Your pancreas stops releasing insulin as frequently, attempting to slow down fat storage and encourage alternative energy sources. Meanwhile, your liver steps onto the stage, converting stored glycogen into glucose. But glycogen doesn't last long, typically less than 1 day. And when it runs out, the body must make a decision. It's in this moment that many people feel the energy crash. You're tired, foggy, and irritable. Not because fasting is bad, but because your biology is flipping switches as fast as it can. Your cells are scrambling to find the next energy source, and until they do, your body feels like it's running on fumes. But then something unexpected happens. Your body stabilizes, it adapts, and that moment of adaptation unlocks an entirely new metabolic era, one that brings you closer to the belly fat burning stage most people talk about. Once glucose reserves are gone, your body does something brilliant. It changes fuels. This shift is called metabolic switching, and it's one of the most impressive biological mechanisms humans possess. It's the moment your body starts turning fat into energy. Your liver begins producing ketone bodies, molecules made from fat that serve as a clean, stable energy source. This is the doorway into ketosis, and it's the phase where belly fat truly becomes a primary target. But ketosis isn't just about fat burning. It's also about protecting your brain. Ketones are so efficient that they act like premium fuel for neurons. What's fascinating is that many people report mental clarity, elevated mood, and reduced hunger right when ketosis kicks in. It's almost ironic. You feel sharper during a state that would normally be associated with starvation. This isn't an accident. It's evolution. And here's the secret most people don't know. Once you cross into this phase, your body prefers to stay here. It's efficient, stable, and predictable. But it also sets the stage for something much more intense once your belly fat starts running low. Belly fat is rarely the first fat the body chooses to burn. It's stubborn, hormonally active, and strategically stored for emergencies. But once your body enters deep ketosis and glucose remains low for long enough, something remarkable happens. The body declares metabolic war on abdominal fat. Visceral fat, the fat stored around organs, becomes a priority target because it is highly accessible and extremely energy-dense. Your body begins breaking it down aggressively, converting it into ketones at a faster rate. This is why people often notice the belly shrinking first during extended fasting.
But this phase also comes with a price. Visceral fat releases inflammatory molecules as it breaks down, and your bloodstream temporarily becomes a battlefield. Some people feel energetic, others feel exhausted. It all depends on how much inflammation is released and how efficiently your liver can process it. And the most surprising effect? Many people experience a significant drop in hunger right at the moment they start burning belly fat intensely. The body is switching into full survival efficiency, a quiet, calculated mode that prepares you for what comes next. Ketosis is often talked about as a diet trend, but scientifically, it's one of the most extraordinary metabolic states the human body can enter. It's not just fat burning, it's cellular optimization. In ketosis, your brain runs smoother, your mitochondria work cleaner, and your inflammation drops dramatically. As the body continues breaking down belly fat, ketones become your dominant energy source. Beta-hydroxybutyrate, the main ketone, has antioxidant properties, protects neurons, and even activates genes responsible for longevity. It's almost like flipping on a hidden upgrade inside your biology. Many people describe this phase as feeling light, focused, or mentally limitless. And that's not poetic language. Those experiences match what research shows happens in the brain during ketone dominance. Your mind truly becomes sharper. But ketosis has limits. As your belly fat continues to shrink and fuel becomes harder to access, your body begins paying closer attention to every calorie stored inside you. It becomes more selective, more protective, and more strategic. And when this shift happens, your metabolism enters a far more fragile and fascinating stage, one that reveals just how deeply the human body is wired for survival. Before we go any further, I want to know your opinion. Do you think you would experience that same clarity and mental boost once your body switches into deep ketosis? Comment below what part of fasting affects you the most: hunger, focus, or energy. I'm curious to see how your body reacts compared to what science shows here. At this point in fasting, something paradoxical happens. Your belly fat begins disappearing faster than any other fat in your body. That's because visceral fat is metabolically active and responds quickly to hormonal changes. When insulin drops and ketones rise, belly fat becomes the preferred fuel source, like dry firewood ready to burn. But this rapid fat loss comes with a hidden twist that almost nobody talks about. As visceral fat breaks down, it releases trapped toxins and inflammatory compounds that have been stored inside it for years. These molecules enter your bloodstream, creating a temporary surge in inflammation. Your body reacts quickly, activating repair pathways and immune responses. This is why some people feel a sudden wave of fatigue, headaches, or nausea during extended fasting. The body isn't failing, it's cleaning house at high speed. And here's the shocker. Once belly fat levels drop significantly, your body becomes protective. It slows fat burning, increases stress hormones slightly, and prepares for what it interprets as a life-threatening scarcity. This is where things truly start to change, and not always in ways people expect. While you're fasting, your hormones become the true commanders directing every metabolic shift. Insulin drops first, opening the door for fat to be released. Then glucagon rises, signaling your liver to make ketones. But deeper into fasting, other hormones begin to take the spotlight. Growth hormone, for example, increases dramatically. This isn't about building muscle, it's your body's attempt to preserve lean mass while fat continues to fall. At the same time, adrenaline rises slightly to keep your energy up, sharpening your senses and boosting fat mobilization. But the most fascinating hormonal shift happens with leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full. As fat stores shrink, leptin levels plummet. Your brain begins watching your fat reserves closely, preparing for potential starvation. And when leptin gets too low, something unexpected happens. Your metabolism subtly slows to protect what's left. This hormonal chess game determines how quickly and how safely your belly fat continues to melt. And it's one of the reasons why fasting until belly fat runs out is far more complex than it sounds.
One of the strangest experiences during deep fasting is the moment when hunger simply disappears. Instead of feeling weak or desperate for food, many people report razor-sharp focus, motivation, and even a sense of calm energy. This is not a psychological phenomenon, it's 100% biological. As ketones become the brain's main fuel, they stabilize neural activity. Instead of the roller coaster of glucose spikes and crashes, your brain enters a steady, efficient mode. This clarity is a survival mechanism. Your ancestors needed focus to find food, not fatigue. At the same time, your digestive system slows dramatically, diverting energy away from digestion and toward essential functions like repair and mental processing. With fewer interruptions from hunger hormones like ghrelin, your mind feels free, almost upgraded. And ironically, it's exactly when you feel the best that your body begins approaching a critical metabolic threshold, one that reveals how close you are to exhausting your belly fat reserves. Extended fasting is not simply a straight path toward fat burning. There is a tipping point, a moment when the body must reassess its strategy for survival. If belly fat is still available, the body continues burning it safely. But once those reserves diminish, the situation changes dramatically. Your body begins conserving energy aggressively. It starts reducing non-essential cellular processes, slowing thyroid activity, and lowering your resting metabolic rate. This is not a flaw, it's evolutionary protection. But there's a darker side. Without enough fat to burn, the body begins looking elsewhere for fuel. Muscle proteins become a target. Enzymes break down amino acids to convert them into glucose for the brain. This is the line between benefiting from fasting and harming yourself. This phase is delicate. Some people feel powerful during it, unaware that their body is crossing into emergency mode. And this brings us closer to one of the most dramatic moments in extended fasting, when belly fat is nearly gone. As your belly fat approaches critically low levels, your body begins sending subtle and sometimes not so subtle warning signs. Your energy becomes unpredictable. Sleep patterns shift. You might feel colder than usual as your metabolism slows to conserve heat. Your brain becomes hyper-focused on survival signals. Even though hunger may still be low, your instincts heighten. Your senses sharpen, particularly smell and attention to food-related cues. These are primal survival responses kicking in. Your liver begins producing fewer ketones because there's less fat to convert into fuel. At this stage, your body becomes extremely strategic. It slows every expendable process and diverts all energy towards essential organs. At this point, the body stands at a crossroads. With belly fat nearly depleted, every hormonal signal and metabolic decision becomes critical. The body is preparing itself for what it perceives as a true survival crisis, activating ancient biological strategies that only emerge under extreme scarcity. What happens next exposes the rawest, most primal side of human metabolism. As fasting enters its most fragile stage, the body begins sending quiet alerts, signals easy to ignore but critical to understand. Slight dizziness, colder hands, and slower movements are often dismissed as normal fasting effects, but they are actually whispers from your metabolism, indicating that your fat reserves are thinning. Your thyroid may reduce its output, subtly lowering your metabolism to stretch your remaining energy. This slows everything: heart rate, digestion, and even thought speed. Yet strangely, many people interpret this slowdown as calmness or adaptation, unaware of the deeper biological message underneath. Another silent warning comes from your muscles.
They begin releasing small amounts of amino acids, just enough for the liver to convert them into glucose for the brain. You won't feel pain or weakness yet, but microscopic changes are happening beneath the surface, preparing for a potential lack of available fat.
These signals are not failures of the fasting process. They are the body's sophisticated survival system coming online. And the closer you get to running out of belly fat, the louder these silent alarms become. Every human has a threshold where fasting stops being beneficial and enters dangerous territory. This limit isn't measured in hours or days, but in how much fat your body still has left to burn. Once visceral and subcutaneous fat reserves get critically low, the body must make desperate choices. It begins prioritizing survival above everything else. Hair growth slows, hormone changes, and cellular repair becomes more selective. These are energy-saving mechanisms, ways to delay the inevitable need to find a new fuel source. Without enough fat to sustain essential organs, the body turns to muscle protein at a much higher rate. This is when fasting becomes catabolic, undermining strength, immunity, and the integrity of vital tissues. The body doesn't want to do this, but it's left with no alternatives. This is the true biological limit most people never see. It's not dramatic on the outside, it's quiet, calculated, and dangerously efficient. And crossing that line reveals just what the human body will do when pushed to its absolute edges. Not everyone reaches the critical stage of fat depletion at the same pace. Genetics, lifestyle, age, stress levels, sleep quality, and even gut microbiome diversity change the rate at which the body burns fat and enters deeper stages of fasting. Two people fasting the same number of days may experience completely different metabolic realities. Some individuals have naturally higher metabolic flexibility, meaning their bodies switch between glucose and fat more efficiently. Others rely more heavily on glucose and struggle to sustain ketosis for long periods, burning through fat at a slower or faster pace, depending on their physiology. Hormonal balance also plays a massive role. People with higher cortisol levels may burn fat more quickly but experience more inflammation during the process. Meanwhile, individuals with more stable blood sugar may sustain fasting longer without severe symptoms. These differences aren't flaws, they are reflections of how uniquely each body is designed. And that uniqueness determines the moment when the body can no longer rely on belly fat and must trigger a new survival mode. Once belly fat reserves reach dangerously low levels, the body enters a stage few people have ever experienced. It begins rationing every molecule of energy, diverting fuel to the brain, heart, and essential organs. At this point, the body uses creativity and desperation to keep you alive. Your liver becomes a biochemical strategist, converting whatever remains, amino acids, tiny amounts of fat, even ketone fragments, into life-sustaining energy. Muscle tissue becomes the sacrificial resource, broken down not out of choice, but necessity. Meanwhile, your brain switches to a hyper-efficient mode. Neuronal pathways adapt, firing only when needed, reducing energy expenditure. Mentally, you may feel strangely alert or strangely detached. Both are responses to energy scarcity. This stage reveals something powerful. The human body is capable of extraordinary metabolic innovation, but it also exposes the approaching edge of survival, where every chemical reaction becomes a negotiation with time. If you want to understand the next level of what happens inside your cells when your body reaches this extreme state, you need to watch this video next. How long could you fast before triggering autophagy? It connects perfectly with what we're uncovering here, and it will make everything you just learned even more fascinating. When fasting continues beyond the body's remaining fat reserves,
The survival mechanisms that once protected you begin to break down. The body no longer has enough stored energy to maintain essential functions, and muscle loss accelerates. Organs begin to suffer, immune function drops sharply, even the heartbeat becomes more fragile as electrolytes shift. The science is clear. Fasting is powerful, but it is not limitless. Its benefits depend entirely on having enough fat to sustain the metabolic processes that keep you alive. Once that reserve is gone, the body enters a crisis, breaking down tissues it was never meant to use as primary fuel. And this leads to one unavoidable truth. The moment belly fat runs out is not a moment of triumph. It is a biological red alert. It is the point where evolution itself steps in, activating a final ancient mechanism designed to keep you alive at all costs. Only very few people have ever felt this moment, and when they do, the body changes its strategy entirely. But when your fat reserves finally begin to disappear, the body activates an emergency mechanism, and that's the moment everything changes. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more science-based videos like this, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who would love to understand their body on a deeper level. Your support helps this channel grow, and it tells YouTube that you want more content exactly like this.